What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Now, I've got a special video for you today. I am joined today by Unknown, who is the number 3 ranked trophy hunter in the entire world, and we're going to talk about games, trophies, and all that jazz. So, thank you very much for joining me today, Unknown. How are you today?
I'm doing spiffy. How about you?
I'm pretty spiffy as well. I like that word. Very, very British of you. I appreciate it. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about, initially, we're going to start with, well, how about you explain your background as to kind of, who you are?
With the trophy stuff, I got onto the scene not quite initially. I think a lot sooner than a lot of people, but I started, I think, year 2 of trophies. It was like 2011, and originally I was playing on the Wii. I was a Wii fanboy, I guess you could say at the time. And then I was... I don't know, the system was kind of getting older and I kind of wanted a PlayStation, and I always wanted a PlayStation, but it was like $50 more or something. as a kid, that's a lot of money. It's like break, even though it's just $50. But I did eventually get a PS3 in 2011. Well, actually, I'll take a step back. I originally bought an Xbox.
Me too.
I had it for a couple of days, like 2 days, and then I sold it.
Wow.
And I was like, I think I'd rather just play on PlayStation. And actually, trophies were kind of a draw for that, because I was seeing like the Xbox gamer score, and I was like, all these numbers and stuff. I think it'd be kind of cool if I just had that. I saw these platinum things, and maybe I should just try going for those. And at the time, like leaderboards and stuff, I was just like, yeah, there's no way I could get on these leaderboards, but I could collect platinums for myself and say, I finished Uncharted or what have you. And then I remember playing Uncharted. That was the first game I played on there, and I was like, whoa, this thing is like a freaking movie. Like, it's so awesome. Graphically and stuff, this is amazing. And I didn't 100% it at the time. It was not my first platinum, but I just finished like the normal mode or whatever. And I think I did go and get all the trophies except for finish on crushing. And then I started the next game. So I wasn't like a diehard completionist then, even though I kind of just am in general. I would always complete games like RPGs and things like that for trophies. And so I guess that was my first experience with the PlayStation and the trophy system. I
should have said a bit earlier for those viewers who aren't aware of you. Actually, up until you retired from trophy hunting, which you have done now, you had 100% for all your games, 3,000 completed games at the time you retired, which means that even from the early days, 2011, you must have had some sort of discipline about you to keep wanting to finish all of the games. And what made you go for that at such a young age?
Well, at the time, I did not have that high of a completion. Because what I would do is all I cared about was platinums, not completion. It wasn't like I was when I first started out, I wasn't trying to spam plats or get like a really high platinum number. It would just be, there's this game, it has a platinum, let me go try to get the platinum, even though DLC was out already for it, for games such as like Castlevania, Uncharted 2. I guess that was really all I cared about. And then I saw one dude's profile. I actually had a really low completion. I started Mass Effect 2. And I know a lot of people are probably not going to agree with this, but I didn't really enjoy it too much. And so I left it at like 2% and moved on to something else.
But then you went back and did it though at some point, obviously.
Well, there was a point where I was on forums and I saw someone's trophy card in their signature had like 97% completion. I was like, that looks so sick. I want a high completion. So
I feel the same.
So then I went back and tried to clean up all I could, and then I was missing like 3 games because the DLC was like tons of multiplayer stuff, and I was a lone wolf pretty much from the get-go. So
Trying to take them all on by yourself.
well, I mean, it was things I couldn't do. Well, I just had no online PlayStation friends, so it was like I
We've all been there.
couldn't do that. Yeah, we all started out that way, didn't we?
We did.
So it was like Uncharted 3, Uncharted 2, and Dante's Inferno, I think, were 3 of them that I was missing for quite a while.
Awesome, to be fair. It's got the community can be really good at times. So, on that, I mean, 3,000 games is a lot of games, and we all know the current state of trophies, which is, you can't play the big games anymore if you want to actually be competitive on the leaderboards. So, at what point did the hook of the leaderboards bring you in?
I think, well, also too, 3,000 games back in the day, completely different lengthwise than games today. So if you think 3,000 games today, it's nothing compared to 3,000 games in 2011. I mean, at that time, it was a fast plat. Like, if you're going for leaderboards, you have to do this plat thing. Like 5-hour plats were like, oh my goodness, the world is going crazy. This is such a fast plat. I can't believe it.
Like games like Hannah Montana and Terminator Salvation, they were like classed as like gold dust easy platinums back in the day.
Yeah, they were like the top tier fastest thing you could find.
How things have changed, everybody. How things have changed.
Completely.
That might move us on quite well to our easy platinum discussion. So for those who don't know, most people do know that there's a lot of easy platinum trophies out there now. There's a lot of games that you can finish in like 5-10 minutes. Obviously, all these new developers have appeared of late. Over the past probably 3 years, I would say it's started to become quite prevalent, where they've been releasing games purposely for the easy platinums. Do you know, when all of these games, because you being around for so long, being involved so heavily with trophies for such a long time, that you must have been around when they just started to come out, the actual easy games, when they just started to be drip fed and then started to sort of cannonball or snowball into effect.
Yeah, so it was kind of like when the easy games started coming out, is like I was really happy. I mean, I would check like forums every day, like top page of profiles to see what games are coming out and stuff. And then, I mean, it was kind of novel at the time too.
When was this, would you have said? 2016, 17, around about then?
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to think what the release date of like My Name is Mayo and stuff like that was.
Well, I know I joined on PlayStation at the end of 2017, and My Name is Mayo had been out for quite some time, so I don't know if maybe it was 2016 My Name is Mayo came out.
Okay.
Then.
Yeah, I would say like around that time, it was still alright but well, a little prior to Mayo even. There was a bunch of visual novels and things, and so those were like the easy stuff. And if people can imagine, we would spend $60 on a 8-hour visual novel because it was like a fast. It's like ridiculous to think about, but
did you ever buy Japanese novels and then try and play those with like while trying to like debug them and actually like put the words into English? Because I know I've heard a few stories back in the day where people used to like buy the Japanese graphic novels, visual novels, and just like try and translate it themselves so you get the platinum.
I would never translate them. I would just use guides that told you choose choice 1, choose choice 2.
Yeah.
I actually wrote a few of those guides.
Really?
As well.
Well, that was probably when the community was a lot smaller, and I imagine back, like, 7-8 years ago, because it's really taken off the past 3 years, I would have said, trophy hunting, that I bet the community was a lot more, everyone knew everybody, because it was such a small community back then. So, we'll ask you one of the juicy questions, unknown, is, how do you think the easy platinums have actually affected the trophy system?
I would basically use the word broke. Kind of broke.
Or ruin.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound like super negative on it, but I feel like it used to be a lot better structured. We had a lot more games where even for fuller games, you had to complete them more so than today. I mean, some of the stuff that really bugged me, and this is one of the fast plats, but Metagal.
Yeah. First level, isn't it?
That one, it was like I was really mad when that came out because I'm a big Mega Man fan, and I was like, really? That's all you got to do is just play basically the first level, and
that was it.
Yeah, and there was, but even for bigger games too, and actually, I heard in this new Ratchet game, which kind of bugs me too, you don't even have to 100% the thing.
No, I don't think so.
And Ratchet being maybe my favorite series, 3, it's kind of like, really, we don't even have to do everything here.
Yeah.
So,
well, the AAA sort of environment has changed a lot, and I think that they're being more aware of the trophy system of late, but I think they're just making it more accessible. They're trying to make everything more accessible for gamers, which isn't a bad thing, but obviously the trophy system, the trophy list, look at Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2. If you compare Last of Us Part 2 to Last of Us Part 1, the trophy list is like 10 times easier. It's like so easy to Last of Us Part 2. So yeah, the AAA environment has changed a lot as well. It's just part of the parcel, isn't it? I think the AA market tends to have the best trophy lists in my experience. But for me, the game that broke me was a game called Alien Destroyer. You probably wouldn't have played it because I think you'd already retired from trophies at this point. And it was just this really bad shooter game, and it was like a little first-person shooter game, like a 3D shooter, and it was just broken initially. It was like the game came out, and on PlayStation 5 there was a bug so that basically you couldn't move very fast, so rather than moving main speed, you ran probably 10% of the actual speed. I remember playing thinking, I'm not having fun with this game, and it really sunk in. After like 20 minutes I was like, this game is destroying my soul, what am I doing? And that was my epiphany for why I quit them as well. So, did you have one of those moments? Was that what Metagal was for you?
No, it was happening prior. Even it was kind of like when the Rata stuff came.
Yeah.
Even a little bit before that too. I had times of burnout in the past, but it was kind of got to a point where it took several years where I was just kind of sick of the way things were going, but it was hard because it was like, well, I got to be in the top 5. I was in the top 5 for several years.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, well, I put all of this work to get in there, and now I gotta do stuff to maintain it. And then the thing with the leaderboards too up there is there was a shift of, well, I'm trying to get the easy games to climb the leaderboard and stuff, but then at a point you have to play all the trash because everyone else plays all of the trash, and you just have to negate out the other stuff, and then it became that's all that mattered.
Yeah, I suppose you get stuck in this loop, don't you, where it's kind of like a game will come out and it's got 2 stacks, 20-minute platinum. You could, if you don't play it, everybody else will play it, so everyone else has 2 more platinums than you at that point. So if you don't play it and you did that for 10 games over 3 months, you'd be distinctly below somebody else, and you could just do it in 3 hours to make yourself back up, and you get stuck in this loop, don't you, I suppose, of just like wanting to maintain it, and to maintain it you've got to play these games because they're so fast, they're so quick, and you kind of got to, if you want to progress, I suppose, as well, to actually get higher, you've got to be playing all these easy games to maintain the tide. But then you've got to be playing extra games if you want to actually level up as well. Because it's not like the leaderboard isn't stagnant. It's not like, okay, you're level 3 now, you can just stay there and you can play whatever you want to level up. It's like you're level 3, you've got to maintain level 3. Then if you want to get to level 2, you've got to keep pushing even more. It's quite a difficult situation to be in.
Yeah, and then the other thing was, like when I first started trophy hunting, it was more enjoyable too because there wasn't a time pressure, and there wasn't much of a pressure as to play those certain games. And for the most part, they were better when you just have all the time in the world. Oh, I have to rush and get this done.
Yeah,
it came to the point where there was games I wanted to play. But then also too, there was just all the stuff I quote unquote had to play, and I would always think, well, I'll do this and then I can get to the other stuff. But then it became more and more, and I was able to to get to that stuff. And then I mean, also too, when I first started trophy hunting, I did have a lot more time.
Yeah, well,
College and things like that, and then life happens, and
definitely it can be expensive as well. It's quite an expensive hobby.
yeah, if you're buying the same game, that's terrible too.
Yeah,
Finish in 5 minutes, or you could spend and buy a game at full price, 60 with $70 now, but
yeah.
50 plus hours out of the thing. It's
Well, I think I saw someone recently, an account that was less than a year old. This is going back 3 months now, or 4 months, but it had 900 platinums and it was less than a year old. And that's kind of like the industry, the way the industry is at the moment. The very niche trophy hunting games is that if you want to spend the money and you've got the time, you could almost earn 1,000 platinums, and it's kind of like you couldn't have done that in 2010, 2012, 2014.
Oh,
It's
2012. I mean, if you got a plat a week, that was like absolutely amazing, like unbelievable. And I remember I had a year, probably like 2014, I got 324 plats.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. Nowadays you can do that in like a couple weeks. But that was like, I was in college. I had not played any visual novels. I actually I remember I bought a box of visual novels from a guy, and I think I paid like $628 for this box, and it only had like 20 visual novels in it or something. Wow. And yeah.
I remember when I was getting into it, because obviously, for those who don't know, you know as well, or know that I've stepped away from it for almost 6 months now. And when I I went through a phase of like literally probably a year period where I got about 200 platinums, 220 or something. And I remember there was like, I came to a point where, like, cause I wasn't, there was, even then there was probably 1,000 to 1,500 easy platinums. And I was at a point where I was being selective with the games I wanted to play. I didn't want to play every single game. I didn't want to play like puzzle games. I didn't want to play, I want to avoid difficult platformers, or even ones that were like 3 out of 10 difficulty. And now it's at the point where basically at that time I'd almost exhausted all the games I wanted to play. But now, since then, this is like 2 years later, there's now literally so many games that you could literally probably start an account now and just keep playing probably indefinitely before you actually catch up. Because even if you did 1,000 platinums this year, there's easily 2,500 easy platinums out there, and they're coming out at such a fast rate, probably 10 a month, that for the next 2-3 years you could just keep on playing and playing endlessly. There's a lot to play. now.
Well, that's the other thing too. You talk about the difficulty. I mean, games were harder back then. I mean, they'd be like, I know guides have difficulty ratings. Mm-hmm. I would say that back in 2012, 2011 timeframe, if a guide said the game was a 3 out of 10, it would be rated like a 6 out of 10 today. And then all these easy plats are just like lowering the bar difficulty wise. And
yeah, you know what? That's funny because now, like Ratchet and Clank, for example, is like a 3 out of 10. But that's because, like, really, like a couple of years ago, you'd be like, "That's game's really easy." But now you have this like sub-genre of games which you don't even have to play. So like some games are like a 1 out of 10 because you just walk to the end. Some are like a 2 out of 10 because you just kind of walk and hop. And 3 out of 10 is kind of where the real games start to appear, but they're actually really disgustingly easy anyway. And that's an interesting point. Never thought of that before until you just said it.
Yeah, I remember the first game they called a 1 out of 10. I think was probably Walking Dead. At least. Yeah.
Yeah, there's easier games now, isn't there? There's like, I don't know if you played Snakeboat or Chickens on a Road and things like that. They were just like, at least Walking Dead required some sort of like input from the player, whereas a lot of these games now don't even require any input from yourself. You can just get like your controller and your 2 analogs and just do this, and then you get a platinum in like 8 minutes. Like it's absolutely insane
and disgusting.
Yeah. So on that, what we'll do is I think we've had a good chat about what you about why you've left and stuff, and let's move on to our little final closing bit, which is just kind of what you're doing now. So you've retired from trophy hunting probably about a year ago, wasn't it?
It was like 10 months ago.
10 months ago.
Like that, coming up on a year, yeah.
So what's your current state of gaming look like?
I actually, it was kind of making me want to almost rebel. And I played only on the Switch for a while.
Yeah.
And it's like I know the system is lesser quality and things.
Well,
It's lesser quality, and I mean, I really don't like some of the IPs as much.
hmm.
I just, it was just mentally, it like broke me almost basically in a way. And it's like I didn't even want to hear PlayStation. I didn't want to see trophies or anything. And I mean, I have a ton of reasons why I quit, and it all kind of accumulated. And I was actually gonna make videos on more in depth on some of the topics, but it was, yeah, I just couldn't take it anymore.
So fair enough. So just a quick one. His link to his YouTube channel will be down below, which he already makes YouTube videos on. But also on that, so was it kind of like the Nintendo Switch was the only console that did not have any sort of achievement trophy tracking system, and is that why you chose it?
Kind of, yeah. I also did have games I did want to play. Like I did want to try out like Breath of the Wild,
yeah,
and things like that.
I mean, there is some great IPs. I mean, I like me some Pokemon. I can't deny that. I like Zelda, but I feel like Breath of the Wild and stuff. Like, do you not find that it's sort of like these open, endless games now kind of feel so opposite to trophy hunting that it can be quite jarring to play?
Well, that's the other thing too, is I have noticed that trophies really warped the way I gamed.
Mm-hmm.
And, also, there was a lot of games I would just pass on because of the trophy list. So then playing them on the Switch, I can play them kind of how I want. Because I am a completionist. I do like to 100% save files and stuff like that. But there was also too some of the stuff I just didn't want to play because on PlayStation, because having the 100% account, if I started something also and I didn't like it, I had to go through and finish it, even though it was, I don't know, the plat took me like 50 more hours to do or something like that. And the other thing is that I started just playing games for trophy lists, and I didn't play the game for the game. And I would just immediately consult a guide, try to get through it as fast as possible. And it's a completely different feeling that I hadn't felt in a while. And not so much early days when I was trophy hunting, but after doing it for so long, it kind of just became ingrained in me. Get through it as fast as possible, look up all the guides and stuff. But I've played games recently, and I've tried to not look up any spoilers and stuff, and it was so different. I never experienced like surprises in games for a while because I was always look at the guide and it telling me what power-ups to get and what stories to go through, stuff like that. So I don't know, it's just kind of a almost new experience of gaming. In a way,
you were kind of enjoying, you were actually playing the game for the game most first and foremost, which is definitely how the game should be played. So before we move on to our final topic, I'll just ask you this. I'll just throw a curveball your way and say, do you have any tips or advice for somebody who maybe is playing a lot of easy games and is kind of like feeling a bit burnt out and kind of like hooked on a leaderboard?
I'd say don't compare yourself to others, and because that's the thing too. A lot of the high accounts, one, they are playing all the stacks and they have access to all that. A lot of them also are not just one person.
Yeah.
So there's that too. You don't know how much time these people have. I mean, you got a job and kids and stuff and have an hour a day. You can't compare to someone that's
hasn't got a job and spends 12 hours a day.
And doing that. The other extreme there. Also too, don't treat it like a job. And if it becomes a chore, just, I don't know, stop. Because I probably pushed it a little too far for a little too long, and kind of regret doing so. So yeah, there's that.
I can relate to that. I definitely think when I did it, towards the end of towards the beginning of this year, I definitely think I was pushing it too much, and I think I just took a step away, and it definitely changed my perspective on gaming. I have spoke about this in a previous video that I feel so much better for gaming and playing the games that I want to play, and taking a complete step away. I wasn't obviously embroiled in it as much as you. I only spent like 2 years really committing to it, whereas you spent obviously 10, so it's a little bit different. But I found that when I could take a step away from it, I just didn't even think about it after a couple of months, and it was just gone. Obviously it's difficult when you're seeing it all the time, so I end up like unfollowing a lot of like accounts that played a lot of easy games, and unsubscribing to some of the accounts because I didn't want to see it anymore. And
yeah, I actually did that too. I felt kind of bad, but I had to do it mentally.
Yeah, you've got to do what's best for yourself up here. And on that, let's wrap things up. Finally, Unknown, with your V2 crew philosophy. So what you often say that a lot in your videos now at the moment, and it's kind of this philosophy that you're pushing out about positivity. How would you describe it for people who haven't seen it yet?
Yeah, so that was where I decided to attempt to take things here, making the V2 crew, where also another reason that I quit was that it was making me personally negative, and I don't know, there was a few people who did stuff like that where I felt pretty guilty after the interview, and I don't like to do that. I like to be a positive person.
Yeah,
it's negative enough.
Positive is the way to go.
Yeah, so the saying is spread the positivity, you do you, and be your V2. Just try to compare yourself to yourself, better yourself every day a little bit, and you'll do amazing things.
I think that's some very mature adult advice, and I think we can all learn from that. I think we've had a really good discussion today, Unknown. I think we've spoke a lot about a lot of interesting things to do with trophy hunting. I hope you as a viewer has enjoyed this massively. So what I'll do is we'll wrap things up, and I'll just say that Unknown's had a YouTube channel for quite some time, and he's back posting a lot of stuff about trophies, trophy talks, things about, you know, things that only he can share because he's been at the top, he's been involved in those communities. You've got knowledge of things that I don't know. Definitely, I've spoke to yourself on and off probably the past year, to be fair, about these sort of things, and I'm always interested in to what you've got to say in the videos that you make. So as a viewer, guys, I think you will enjoy his content. I'll link it down below. And finally, Unknown, before we go, thank you very much for coming on. I do appreciate your time.
All right, thanks for having me.
Anytime, buddy. All right, and on that, thank you very much for watching. Take it easy.